Bangladesh ousted leader Sheikh Hasina and one of her close aides were sentenced to death Monday over her crackdown on a student uprising last year that killed hundreds of people and led to the toppling of her 15-year rule. The uprising, which became known as the July Revolution, has deep roots in the nation's history of student activism. The immediate trigger was a controversial government job quota system. Originally established after Bangladesh's 1971 independence to reserve 30% of jobs for liberation warfighters, the system expanded over decades to cover 56% of positions, including for descendants of fighters. In 2018, a massive student movement successfully compelled the Hasina government to abolish the quota system. However, in June 2024, Bangladesh's High Court controversially ruled that abolishing the system was illegal, effectively reinstating it. This decision drove students back to the streets. The initially peaceful protests were met with a violent crackdown by police, paramilitary forces, and ruling party supporters. Tensions escalated dramatically after Prime Minister Hasina, in an inflammatory speech, referred to the student protesters as Rajakar, a deeply offensive term for pro-Pakistan collaborators during the 1971 Independence War. This led to a nationwide non-cooperation movement and a full-fledged mass uprising. The International Crimes Tribunal, based in Dhaka, the capital, has now passed sentence on Hasina and former Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan for their involvement in the use of deadly force against those protesters. Hasina and Khan, who fled to India last year, were sentenced in absentia. India has so far declined to extradite them, making it unlikely that they would ever be executed or imprisoned. Hasina, who was convicted on 5 charges of crimes against humanity, was also sentenced to prison until natural death for making those inflammatory remarks and ordering the extermination of student protesters through the use of helicopters, drones, and lethal weapons. A third suspect, a former police chief, was sentenced to 5 years in prison after becoming a state witness against Hasina and pleading guilty.